I know that many of you guys are finishing up your 12th grade board exams, or you're finishing up your final year high school exams, and you're probably wondering, can I still study in the US? Is fall 2023 a good viable option? Or you're in the other boat where you've applied to a lot of colleges and you're probably not happy with the decisions that you received, maybe a ton of rejects. So in this video, I want to break down whether taking a gap year is a viable option or not. Should you consider it? When should you consider it? And towards the end of the video, I will also share my personal story because I did take a gap year between my two degrees. After I finished my undergraduate degree, I took a gap year before applying and going for my master's at Cornell University. So let's get started. First, for some basics, let's be clear on what exactly a gap year is. Now, let's kind of break down the entire timeline of what you would have done if you were like last year in August of 2022. Now, in August of 2022, let's say you were a high school student, you would have started your class 12. You finished your class 11, you're just entering grade 12. And college applications, not fall 2022, but college applications open for fall 2023. And that's when you would apply. And a lot of questions come up where students ask, I've just started 12th, I haven't finished it, I don't have my marks, how can I apply? It's fine. When you apply to colleges, they understand that you have not finished grade 12. A lot of your predicted marks go into your college applications. So last year in August, you would start applying for your colleges. In March of 2023, which is right now, the same set of students would be finishing up grade 12. You would have applied to colleges, you're getting your decisions, and basically you're receiving your admits for fall 2023. In August of 2023 is when you actually start college. So let's say you're happy with the decisions that you've received, you start college, you finish grade 12, your timeline is perfect. Now, if you are a class 12 student right now giving your board exams and you have not applied to colleges in the US, or you're not happy with the decisions that you've received, you will be considered as a gap year student stepping into your gap year because you will start applying this August, which is 2023 August. You'll apply for the fall 2024 intake. So by the time you actually start your college, you would have completed that 1 year of entire gap year. Now, the same thing goes for my college students. If you are in your third year, you're entering your fourth year, that's when you have to start applying to colleges. If you're finishing up your fourth year right now and you're thinking about applying to colleges in the US, that means that you will be taking a gap year. Now, I know that many students are feeling really pressured into, trying to decide what they should do. They're either on the edge of whether they've received some really good admits. They don't understand which deadlines or intakes to apply for. So let's go over that as well. So let's talk a little bit about the US college deadlines and what intakes there are. There are three main intakes. There is the fall intake, there's the spring intake, and then there is the summer intake. So the fall intake roughly means these sessions that the intakes are segregated into is when you actually start college. So the fall intake, which is fall 2023, which will start this August. The applications for the fall intake open 1 year prior to the start date. So for the 2023 intake, the applications had opened August of 2022. 1 year is how much they give you to apply for your college applications. Typically, there are three types of deadlines within the fall intake. There is an early decision deadline, an early action deadline, and there is a regular decision deadline. Now, these dates that I've mentioned over here are roughly the deadline dates that you can expect, but they may differ like a couple of weeks up or down depending on each college. Now, the spring intake runs somewhere between mid-October-ish with deadlines, and the summer intake deadlines are usually in Feb. Now, and the fourth type of deadlines that there are rolling admissions, and those have no deadlines. Basically, those applications are open year round. Whenever you apply to those specific colleges, you will be considered for the next closest admission cycle, and they'll let you know, which one that is. There are still colleges that have admissions and applications that are open, but the disadvantage, and this is a huge one, most of these colleges are colleges that have like a rolling deadline and they are not within like the top 200. A lot of the elite colleges, the top 100, 150 colleges, the Ivy Leagues, your big Stanford, MIT, all all of those elite colleges have only fall intakes available, which means that if you are trying to aim at the full spectrum, you want to apply to really good universities, have a good diverse portfolio of college lists like Dream, Within Reach, and Safeties, you are better off applying for the fall intake, because right now, even for the fall 2023, the deadlines have mostly over, and the only thing that is left is basically colleges here and there that aren't great, they aren't well known, they may not offer the best scholarship, and basically you're just trying to apply to whatever is left. The only kind of like advantage to doing so is that, one, you will not be taking a gap year, and two, if this is like your first degree, that I typically tell students, if you're planning for like multiple degrees, like a master's or this is a pre-med degree, this is maybe not a bad option, because this is like an intermediate degree. You can maybe apply for a transfer, you're going to get another degree later on, so you can be better prepared for that one as well. All right, so this brings up the biggest question of the entire video, which is, when should you consider taking a gap year? Is it a good idea? Is a gap year right for you? So let's look at some pros and cons. Now, I would say that you should consider taking a gap year if and only if you have a good plan laid out for yourself, other than just applying to colleges. Now, let's say you're giving your 12th board exams right now. You'll finish by the end of this month, which is March. Colleges for the fall 2024 intake will open this August. What do you plan to do from now up until summer? And then what do you plan to do from August of this year until August of next year, which is when you actually start college? And if your answer is, well, I just want to apply to colleges and put my best, that's not good enough, and taking a gap year is definitely not a good option. Colleges will see straight through this, and they deem this extremely unproductive. Because the thing is, a lot of students apply to colleges and they are doing this along with their high school, like grade 12 education. So you're telling them that, I just need to put everything on hold and just apply to colleges so I can put my best foot forward. It's not the impression that you want to give college admission committees, and it is extremely unproductive. Now, on the other hand, if you can have like maybe internships laid out for you, some research experiences over the summer, and basically break down the entire year into, okay, this is what I'm going to do in the summer, then for the next 3 months, this is how I'm going to spend my time, and then towards the end of the year, I have this lined up. That is a good way to kind of think of doing this. Personally, I'll kind of like go on to how my story worked out later in the video, but just wasting your time and just basically saying that you're going to apply to colleges and that's all that you're going to do in your gap year is not a good way to take a gap year, because you will have to mention in your college applications what you did during your gap year, and it needs to be, convincing enough to the college committees so that they feel the need to give you an acceptance letter. The next thing that you want to stay away from in your college applications is mentioning that during your gap year, you took the time to understand the US college admission process. You are new to the entire system, so you needed time to kind of cope up with everything. This is not a good idea either, because there are many, many international students such as yourself that have been able to achieve the same. So playing the international student card in this scenario is not a good idea either. Using things like, it's a big change, you have to move into another country, this is a new education system, you're prepping for your SAT, GRE, and you needed time off to basically prepare for your college applications is definitely not going to be the sole reason of what you did during your gap year. It has to be a little more productive than that. So what exactly could you do during your gap year other than actually preparing for your colleges? Now, a good idea to look at this is kind of like threefold. One is you can have an internship or a research experience. This can be a self-paced research project or somewhere where you actually work in a company part-time, full-time. It really doesn't matter if they pay you or don't pay you. The point is you're getting to learn something. This is something that you really need. So don't look at this opportunity as like a way to make money. Look at it as an opportunity to learn and expand on your skill set. The second thing would be doing some sort of community outreach, and the third thing would be doing a volunteering based activity. Now, I know that a lot of these opportunities are not available to international students in other countries, which is perfectly fine, but you know of them, so you can take the initiative to actually start and do this in your own own society, in your own community. It doesn't necessarily have to be related to the major that you're applying to. Like for example, if I'm applying for biomedical engineering, it's not necessary that all my activities are related to biomedical engineering. I could maybe do some research work or a project that's related to BME, but my community service or my volunteering efforts could be based on something that I like to do. Maybe I'm teaching basketball to kids in my neighborhood. That's something that's exciting and that I personally like to do. It has nothing to do with science, but it's a good way to show that that's what I like to do in my time, and I'm taking a proactive effort and just getting up and doing something. That's the whole point of this. So overall, my takeaway from this would be that taking a gap year is definitely a personal decision, and you know yourself better than anyone, better than me, better than your parents, your teachers. You know what you're capable of. So if you really think that within that 1 year you can follow a disciplined plan of taking actions against certain things, whether they're self-paced internships, research opportunities, and do something more with your time. On the contrary, if you're a student who needs okay, I need to have a teacher tell me that I need to do this and that's when I get things done, a gap year is probably not a good option for you because it's self-paced. No one's going to tell you to do anything. You have to do everything by yourself. So, be very, very careful with what you choose for this in your decision. Now, lastly, I want to kind of talk about my personal decision of why I decided to take a gap year and share my story. Maybe someone will resonate with it. But basically, after I finished my undergrad, I had a few things going for me. I knew that I wanted to go to the US for my master's. I was not applying to any other place. It was just the US. I had a college list. And at the time, my research at Harvard Medical School was ongoing. So even though college had finished, they still needed me to do some more work. So after I finished college, for the next 6 months, I continued to do my work in my research project. It was kind of like a mixture of in the lab as well as when I went back to India through Zoom and basically virtual work. We worked on putting the manuscript together, getting all the data in place, analyzing it, submitting the paper into an impactful journal for publication. So when I was submitting my college applications, that is what I told them. I had to finish my research project because it was about to be published. And I feel like that is a very, very valid reason as to why I decided to take a gap year. If I wouldn't have taken a gap year, I would need to stop that research work, start college, and I wouldn't get that publication. If you guys are wondering on how to get involved with the research project, I recently launched my very own bootcamp for this summer. It is a live research bootcamp which runs for 2 entire months. Students are divided into groups of 2 to 5 people. They're not individual, but each group gets an individual project that is very unique. You can choose from 3 different topics, and it is an extremely wonderful way to step into research. Now, it's perfect for high school students, gap year students, young working professionals. So you can check it out. It is currently open for enrollment. Now, it is a live hybrid model where there'll be some live classes that I take, and then you will be expected to fulfill a research project towards the entire duration of the research bootcamp. There'll be midpoint evaluations. You'll be writing research reports, and the best part is you can actually write this as an extracurricular activity or a research project in your college application. So, question of the day, we have Karthik who asked an interesting question in the last video. Can you talk about community colleges, their scholarship, transfer options into an Ivy League from a community college later on, and whether that is worth it? Now, this is a great question. Now, the main difference between a community college and a private or an elite university is the time duration in which you complete your degree, the kind of value/worth of the degree, as well as the tuition fee and the cost. So community colleges typically have degrees that range anywhere between 2 to 3 years. So you get done with your degree a lot faster than an actual university or college. And they aren't deemed as valuable just because it's not the most elite or the competitive place to get your degree from. With this being said, the cost to attend a community college can range anywhere between $10,000 to $20,000 per year, which is significantly cheaper than a cost to attend an elite school, which is somewhere upwards of $70,000 per year currently as of today. Now, a lot of students, what they do is they enroll in a community college. After they finish their first or their second year, they will transfer into an elite college for their third and fourth year. By doing this, the ultimate degree that they get is from that elite college, and they were able to save on cost for the first 2 years. This is a very smart move. There are very few cons to doing this. The only like disadvantage would be that if you are not able to transfer into a better college, you're stuck in that community college itself. So that is a risk that you should be kind of like open to taking. But other than that, enrolling yourself in a community college is a great option if finances are a big factor for you personally. Right, so that's all that I had for this video. Like the video if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys very soon in the next one. Take care. Bye.